Welcome to the desk of the Executive Director. We are not at my desk again, thank goodness. We are at a kitchen island with a couple of our Back Bay supporters who actually, one of these individuals actually moved to Biloxi. And so this is moving day. That's right? Mm-hmm. That's why they look tired and exhausted. So it is moving day. The moving van is out there and all the boxes are here. And so Yvonne Harrison has moved to Biloxi, and our mutual friend Anne, Indiana, Reno, Phoenix, is here to help her move in. And I think what's kind of cool is she's got her own bedroom here now, so anytime Anne wants to come and visit. But both Anne and Yvonne are very big supporters of Back Bay Mission and are real advocates of equity and justice and goodness in the world. So I just wanted a chance to kind of welcome them to the camera and welcome you to Back Bay and to Biloxi. And ask you initially, so do you have any reflections about Biloxi, Mississippi for our folks that are going to be watching this?
Biloxi is a beautiful city. People are very kind and hospitable, very welcoming. Neighbors have stopped by. I just got here a day or two ago. Already go to a shop and see people that I know that I've met, so it's just, really wonderful. I'll also say if you need to do any kind of cleanse, like workout, to get rid of your demons, this is the place to do it because you can just sweat it right out, all day long. It's really great. You drink lots of water. That's good. Yeah, it's a sweet place.
That's because Yvonne moved here from Phoenix, and that's where Anne will be going back to, right? Which is a very dry desert, no humidity, high heat, but very low humidity. Mm-hmm. So Anne, what's your impression of Biloxi? You haven't been here very long.
No.
It's your second visit or third visit?
Second visit, and I think it's beautiful. I think I described it as magical, but the first time I was here. And the people are kind and friendly, and it'll be a great place to visit.
Yeah, it is. So you all come down and volunteer with us. So share your reflections a little bit about Back Bay Mission, if you would, Anne. What you know of Back Bay Mission, and I know you spent some time volunteering there on your first visit here.
I did. I didn't know anything about Back Bay Mission until you moved here, but I like the fact that you have services, all kinds of services in one place for unsheltered people. And when I moved to Phoenix, I was looking for a church that had a food pantry. Didn't know anything about homelessness, and ended up at First Church and got involved in serving the homeless population a little bit. And so I really appreciate what you do here.
I would say you got involved a lot in serving the homeless. Anne would serve lunches out the door Monday through Friday. I think you had a day each week, right?
Yes.
And you really were very involved in that work, and that was really, really important work back in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So your impressions, Yvonne, and
Back Bay?
Back Bay Mission, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Just today, one of the places I was in Jacked Up, which you've mentioned before. I was in there.
Shout out to Dixie Newman, who's the owner.
Yeah. And Captain Mike, who was there, who we've seen in earlier
episodes. Runs the shrimp tours.
And there was a fellow that was seemed to be experiencing homelessness, had a little distress this morning. And Captain Mike says, "Have you heard about Back Bay Mission? It's just over there. Do you need to go? Whatever." And so it's just kind of, it's so much of the community. I mean, that people know it. It's just a wonderful resource to be able to have. And so I've enjoyed working in the food pantry there, some fishes, cleaning those shower rooms, helping with the laundry. I mean, it's just wonderful. It's a great service.
Well, interesting that I think what's kind of unique about Biloxi, and it was unique a bit about Phoenix too. If you lived in downtown Phoenix, you'd run into people you knew, right? But here, being a smaller community, and I think Mississippians, they take the fact that they're a hospitality state seriously. And when you walk into a coffee shop, you may know the owner, Captain Mike, and probably other people you get to know because people kind of frequent the same places, right? And there is a hospitable atmosphere. People will say hello. I was talking to somebody the other day. I thought this was really odd. Actually, it was online. And so had this online Zoom conversation with two Wells Fargo philanthropic employees that work with their philanthropic. to see if there's a way they could fund Back Bay, and they're headquartered out of Birmingham and Jackson, Mississippi, or not Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, Florida. And so the one woman from Birmingham grew up in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is just 45 miles south of where I grew up in Boonville. And so she knew Boonville, I knew Tupelo. As I went to Tupelo to shop, you don't go to Boonville for anything, you just drive through it on your way to Memphis, right? But the interesting thing was, she said, I moved to Birmingham and people are not friendly like they are back in Mississippi, right? And in Mississippi, people are really hospitable and very kind, and you get to know people quickly. But if they say, bless your heart, that's fine. But if they say, bless your little heart, you know, that's not a good thing. Any other impressions? So this is Yvonne's new house. I don't think we necessarily want to give a tour of it, right?
Only thing would help unpack.
But if you want to help unpack, that would be great.
Yeah.
So her house is about a block from the beach, which is a beautiful thing here in Biloxi. I live about a block from the beach down that way, and just really excited to welcome Yvonne and welcome Anne to Biloxi. And Anne, you know you're welcome to come back anytime, right?
Thank you.
will come back.
Right.
You might, yeah. Maybe after you get everything unpacked. And there's other homes for sale here too. So. But really appreciate their friendship. They were both members of my congregation in Phoenix, and very, very integral parts of the ministry there. And integral also, I would say, because I think as a pastor, executive director, it's always good and healthy to have people that you can share with, right? And communicate with in a way that's keeping boundaries. And they were always good about kind of keeping boundaries and listening to me kvetch and share. And so I appreciate that from being a pastor and now being an executive director.
You know, I think, James, I do have, of course, one last thing to share. Thinking about today, thinking about moving down here, and oh my goodness, what an adventure it truly has been. I had lived in my Phoenix home for 24 years, and I have lots of stuff. I got rid of lots of stuff, but it's all my friends, right, that help support me to be able to get here and come down, and Anne coming down with me to help, and the moving people, going to the different banks, all the stuff you have to work around to have a house. And obviously I have connections and I have means. It just really hit me more than once how hard it is for someone to get a home and to have a home and maintain a home. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't moved recently, and everybody's been, oh, well, let me tell you, down here in Mississippi, the power company sends you a thank you note for doing business with them.
I'll send you a pack of light bulbs too.
That's what I understand. That's what I understand. You go into the bank and they say, now, here, I want to meet you, and this is who you, there's your card, here's what you're going to deal with in the future. Any problems? And so it's just, it's very kind, it's very welcoming, because it's, and again, I'm a capable person that has means, and it's a lot, so I can't even imagine what it's like for somebody that doesn't have means. And it also made me appreciate how much, believe it or not, James, how much do I really need? Because I don't need all these boxes around me. I like all these boxes when they're put away. But yeah, so it's really, the whole thing has been a very humbling experience and really makes me appreciate all the abundance that I have. And all the kindness that's been shown to me. So there's a lot of me that wants to pay that back, pay that forward. So.
There you go. That's part of your vision, pay it back.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think about that actually. This wasn't completely planned, but we would have maybe gotten to this, right? But I think about that when I'm working with people who are unsheltered and they have a grocery cart full of worldly possessions, or one of the women that I've gotten to know very well, that she has a couple of suitcases, right? Those are incredibly important to her. They move with her everywhere. And there's another woman who has 2 wash baskets that she has filled with her personal items. She puts her robe, right? Ties on those, and she pulls them around. And I'm like, that's what they have. And we look at that and we say, oh, it's so disturbing, right? But that's all they have. And what a beautiful thing to be able to recognize that in yourself and recognize that in these people. That we're fortunate, we're privileged, and part of it is paying back and giving back, and sometimes the more you have, the less you give. So I think it's important sometimes for us to let go, and then just to share from the resources we have, because if we have abundance, we want to share out of our abundance so that others don't have that sense of scarcity, right?
Exactly. And I mean, and true, and when letting go, it just creates more space. You know, and both Ann and I can tell you, because we had mattresses sent, but nothing else. So we've been sleeping on mattresses on the floor. And they're very comfortable mattresses, but that up and down from the floor. You all haven't been laying on the floor getting up and down repeatedly. And we tease about it being hot here. And it's a good thing this isn't smell-o-vision. But we're in here with ceiling fans and air conditionings. It is, heat index today, it's 107. So for the folks out, yeah. So.
Well, and out behind Back Bay, there was somebody that made a bed on a couple pallets and threw sheets over it, right? Talk about mattresses. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and we very much live in a world of haves and have-nots, and strangely enough, today with several staff, and actually I believe somebody sent me a picture of, this is the invisibleness of homelessness. A little black boy sitting on the stairs, halfway invisible in tattered clothing. I passed that on to my staff and said, so this is our why, right? This is why we do what we do. And because we work with an invisible population. And another profound moment today was actually talking to one of my staff's husband, who happens to be a police officer, Hollis, and he helped us out in the Micah Day Center this morning. And because one of our staff called in sick, and so he's volunteering, and I caught him as he's getting ready to bike away, and I said, thanks so much for this. And he said, now that my wife Sarah is in the director of services position, he said, I realize even more how you are really a voice for a population that doesn't have a voice, that isn't seen, which reminded me of that picture you sent. And then the most bizarre thing was, he said, so I'm not going to, I'll kind of put this out there, but something's been happening with our police department, and they took a group of folks over to a mobile shelter, right? They said, do you want to come with us to the mobile shelter? If that would have been black folks standing on the steps, or if it would have been indigenous people, or it would have been LGBTQ people, he said, you'd have the film out here, you'd have the cameras out here, there'd be a no-go on that. They're going to pick them up and move them to another place, right? But because they're homeless, because they're invisible, and because they're seen as less than and unwanted, right? Nobody's raising a stink except us and Open Doors, and a few other people who realize that's unjust. So I think that's very, very powerful.
Well, and it gets into bootstrapping, how people may think that you can bootstrap it, and that's a fallacy.
And so a beautiful truth I got from both of you here right now is number one, when you sent that picture, Anne, of that young man sitting on the steps, the invisibility, and then the fact that when we make room, right, we make room for people that are invisible in our lives, or we make room in our lives, we're so much more abundantly blessed, right? And so it's about living out of our abundance, not our scarcity, sharing what we have, seeing those who are unseen, and then making space in our lives, making room, right? So thank you for being here today, and thank you for buying a home in Biloxi and becoming a part of our community, our culture, because as I used to say it, First Church United Church of Christ back in Phoenix was, when any new person joins that church, it changes us. Remember that? So you join our community here, you will change us. And of course, I know you will change the community too, because you're here for a couple of weeks, right?
I am.
Okay. So thank you for being here, and thank you for joining me today. And as always, thank you, Kevin, for being the guy behind the film. Have a great day.